What's up, mortgage coach community? Dave Savage. I am getting ready to interview someone that doesn't love to get interviewed. So I started the conversation with Brent Palmer. And Brent, you said you're not a big interview guy, right?
No, I kind of like to hide out and fly under the radar. I just like to do loans.
I like that. Well, I think there's probably a lot more people like you than people who are like, yeah, let's get on stage and do an interview. So I think this will be a fun interview, and I appreciate you stepping outside what you usually do for the mortgage coach community.
No problem.
Cool. So because I haven't interviewed you and you don't do many interviews, some people may not know who you are except for the people that work with you, like Rosemary David, who recommended that I interview you. If you could just tell folks a little bit about who you are, what market you're in, and what kind of production you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I've been doing this about going almost 20 years, 2002. I started in the ops side of the world, moved into production. I was at Home Street Bank for 10 years and then followed the acquisition to Home Bridge. So we've been at Home Bridge now for a year, and it's going really well. It's a little bumpy at first, but going well now, and couldn't be happier. And so I'm a branch manager in the Portland market. So my demographic is Portland Metro, Clackamas County specific for those that are in the Portland area. But I'm licensed in Oregon, Washington, California, Arizona, about 5 or 6 states now. So production wise, my team and I, we're right at that $100 million, although this year we're up about 100%. So we're probably trending closer to 150 to 180 this year, depending on how the rest of the year pans out, which,
wow.
Yeah, it's been a little crazy.
And so that is your team, and then your branch production's on top of that?
Correct. That's just my team. That's my team and I's origination production. And then I manage a branch. It's kind of bad. I don't know. Our branch averages about 40 million a month, give or take. Right now it's insane numbers, but on a normal, we're probably 20 to 30 million a month. And I don't know, 100 plus units a month. So there's 16 loan officers, including myself and my team, and in our branch. So
well, congrats on that success, and super fired up to have you as a leader in the mortgage coach community. And let's talk a little bit about that, because I don't know the whole story. We started talking when we were prepping, but it's not like you've been using mortgage coach for the past 5 years with every single client. It sounds like you've used it in the past, and then you started using it with COVID. So what is your mortgage coach story?
Well, so I used to use mortgage coach a long time ago. Back when I was on the ops side of things, I was Brooke Knight's assistant for a number of years. And so I would help. He was the one that originally introduced me to mortgage coach, specifically for refinances, showing customers, where their break even or return on savings and things like that. And as I got into production, I never really liked the fact that back in the day, it was like you had to actually download something. And when I moved on, I went to banks and they never let you download anything. And so then when it went to web-based with Edge, I dabbled with it a little bit here and there, and really couldn't figure out how to integrate it into my business, but used it sporadically. Didn't really know how to, do there's a million features with it. None of them that I probably even use to the full capacity, but I've kind of found a way to make it work for my business and what I need it to do. And so it wasn't until probably March, when refinances took off and with COVID, where you were stuck at home like I am now, and needed to be able to communicate in a way that differentiated yourself from, their current loan servicer, spamming them for, a quick refinance. I needed to make sure that the database was, getting an evolution of the service that they had been accustomed to in the past with working with me.
Love it. And so coming into COVID, your mortgage coach why, I'm sure has something to do with just the digital connection, but what would you say today succinctly, why do you use Mortgage Coach today?
One, I want to differentiate myself between, your stereotypical lender. Right now, you can go onto NerdWallet or Bankrate and find the lowest possible rate, but it's not necessarily always the right thing for the customer. So in my initial interview with the customers, one, I'm old school. Like, I hate online applications. I want to take the application over the phone. I want to really act as like it's a questionnaire. I don't want them to get stuck in computer hell. I want a high touch, I want to get to know them. And I feel like the best way to do that is through the application. So I take probably 80% of the applications for my production via the phone, in person, myself, not somebody else on my team or whatever. But I like to talk to them during that process about their goals. And so once I'm learning about their goals and what they're trying to accomplish, I can use Mortgage Coach to kind of show them, hey, you're out of your mind. There's no possible way you're going to have a $1,500 mortgage payment with 5% down buying a $400,000 house. Or I can show them that their goals are in line with where they want to be. Or, hey, if you want to get these two goals, maybe you sacrifice this one. So I found that utilizing Mortgage Coach in that way helps for purchase transactions specifically. And then with refinances, really showing them, everybody just kind of sticks the refinance into, hey, I'm going to do a new 30-year fixed. And I really like to put myself in those people's shoes where they're refinancing to get a lower interest rate, but they might be fine with their payment. They might be paying an extra $150 on their payment now. So rather than just doing what I think that they want me to do, like any general, call center, I'm really kind of diving into what their goals are. And Mortgage Coach helps me show that to them in a more detailed way that, hey, I can show you your loan that you have 27 years left on. I can show you how to get that lower interest rate now, but get it paid off in 20. And
Love that. So here's what I want to do. I want to show a couple things on my screen. And then if you could get ready, let's go to a refi TCA on your screen in a minute here.
Yeah.
And so guys, I recently did an interview of Brian Borley. He's a $100 million producer on the East Coast, works for Fulton Bank. And he adopted and became a black belt in Mortgage Coach last year. And he texted me a couple Sundays ago saying, Dave, I can't believe it. I have a whole new level of commitment to Mortgage Coach. I mean, I've been using it for about a year now, but I'm buying a house on the East Coast, on the coast, about an hour from my house. And I decided to shop 5 or 6 lenders. And here's what he got. These are real world fee worksheets. And he said the two things that were most profound to him is that, one, no one asked him what his goals were, and everyone gave one option. Some of them were emails with a logo. Some of them were, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close. An online lender whose name is a household name, it was just a disclosure. But at the end of the day, he's like, nobody asked names, nobody gave options. And so I'm going to hand it to Brent in a minute. He's going to show how he's doing this. But I want everybody, as we go into this part of the conversation, put yourself in the mind of a consumer. If you were getting a mortgage, would you like to have a couple options compared? And here's the deal. When the family picks one of the options, they own it. They're now not just taking the loan that you're giving them, they're picking the loan they want. So they're more committed. And if you were a consumer, would you like to see those options over time that aligned with your goals? So, and then number 3, and this is what we're all about at Mortgage Coach, really delivering all 3 of these things every time: options, cost over time that aligns with goals, and always looking for strategies to get out of debt faster. And that might be, prepaying your mortgage like Brent just talked about. So Brent, if you don't mind, first of all, any comments on that before you show your screen and we walk through your consumer experience?
No. I mean, I think that one of the things that I would add is that I realized it in this mortgage shopping culture or the fintech culture that we've gone into, I've found that not every case, but when I do take the time to do it this way, I found that it eases the consumer's mind to stop getting online, stop, constantly shopping for where rates are that day. And so it has taken some of that aspect out of it, in that they're not, they're comfortable with, like you said, they've picked the direction they want to go. So there's a different level of comfort. They also see, through video that will show that I'm a real person. Sometimes I'm in a t-shirt and a ball cap. Sometimes, well, with COVID, I might be in a hooded sweatshirt and my basketball shorts. You never know. But it's them seeing that I'm a real life person. And I think that helps.
No doubt. And here's one more thought for everybody before we pull up your screenshot for Brent. But I've interviewed a lot of top producers, and I've talked to loan officers that they're given a link. 90% of the families are filling out the link, or their production partner, and then they're doing the TCA. I've talked to top producers that are doing the data input and creating the TCA and presenting it. And I've talked to loan officers who have a production partner that does the data input for the TCA, and then the loan officers presenting it. Now, the one commonality, I have yet to talk to a top producer where they're not the ones aligning the TCA to the goals, and they're having that advice conversation. Who takes the app, who fills out the TCA, it varies from team to team, but typically the team leader is the one having that consultative conversation where they're saying, hey, this is what you told us you want. This is what you told us your goals were. Here are some mortgage strategies to achieve those. So with that said, why don't you show your screen and walk us through one of your mortgage strategies? And I know you've got a purchase and a refi, whichever one you want to do first.
So I'll do the refi. This is one that I just did today. So this this was a customer that called this morning. They were referred to me through another past client. They bought their house in 2017. And so they just want to take advantage of lower interest rates. So, they don't have a bad interest rate. They're at 3.99 right now. They previously did a jumbo loan. So they wanted to talk about, getting, remaining in a conventional loan. So, we talked about payment savings, talked about, a 25-year and then even a 20-year. So, just showed them. And then with the video, what I like to do is the video stuff really came on when I went into that COVID world. They, we needed to have something to connect. And I also needed some way, with the volume that we were doing in this time frame, of being able to control that conversation. So, and I've found that using the Mortgage Coach cost analysis, I can take this one? This one's actually a long one. This one looks like it's 9 minutes and 14 seconds, which normally they're 3.5 minutes. So I can take a 3.5 minute video walking them through this that potentially saves from a 30-minute unplanned or unscheduled phone call. So if we're doing 40 to 50 transactions a month, that time management is really, really important. And so that's probably the biggest benefit, is that I can control the output and I can control the time. Real quick, before we go off that, because every single top producer I've ever asked, does Mortgage Coach cost you time or save you time, would say it's a massive time saver. And you brought up another point. It also helps you control the time. You can create the TCA any hour of the day. You could add the video any hour of the day, and now you could deliver it to the consumer, text, email, however you want to deliver it, and you could edit it and update it. So it sounds like Mortgage Coach, part of what got you to join us during COVID was just it saved you time. It saved me time, and I wanted to be able to, like I said before, I wanted to be able to evolve and differentiate myself from, every other lender out there that was soliciting, my database or my sphere of influence for those refinance transactions. And, and any loan officer that is doing any kind of production knows that their livelihood depends on their database management. So, you know, the better that I could communicate with my database, the more effective I was. And really, realistically, I was realizing that initially in the refi boom, I was spending way too much time as people wanted to know more information about, you know, in the past with refinances, when they've hit, we've seen 1 or 2 day spikes or drops in rate where we go hit the phones heavy, you know, look for quarter to a half adjustments in rate, try to keep fee costs down. And then we go and we do a very targeted solicitation of customers based on where rates are in any given day. Well, with this season that we're in now, rates have been low for a long time and they're not fluctuating like that. So we are finding more customers were reaching out to us, and then they had more generalized, well, I know rates are low, but I don't really know what that means to me. And so this helps us explain that to them. Like in this case, this was a perfect example. Customer called for a new 30-year fixed. When I was talking with him, I was asking, I go, well, you know, what do you know, are you comfortable with the payment you're making now? Oh yeah, payment's fine. You know, I just heard rates are lower. Okay. Well, would you be comfortable making a little bit more payment? Well, probably. I haven't really thought about it. So you're asking qualifying questions to be able to separate yourself from, you know, the next guy. So like on this one, you know, I'm showing him in essence, you know, where he's at currently at, you know, $244,000. The other thing too is, how long do you plan on being in your house? This was a customer that he built a beautiful custom home in 2017. He's got an ADU where his in-laws live. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, you know, and he tells me that. So I go, okay, well, let's look at a few different options. So with their current loan, they're going to spend $244,000 in interest over the next 15 years. If he goes to a 20-year fixed, you know, it's $350 more a month, but his income supports it, everything else. He saves almost $100,000 in just that time frame. So when you show a customer that number, I feel like it completely gets rid of any objection to those $4,000 in closing costs.
Yeah. Well, you're talking in, remember guys, I told you as a consumer, you want options over time because it's transparency. It's a logical way to make an informed decision. And as a sales person, when you show the bigger value over time, it also makes you unique and it creates contrast. It creates perspective. Hey, could you go into the actual advice engine where this client is? I want to show you something that I think you're going to like. You may or may not know this. So this is the client, right? Go to the analyze section, analyze. And so guys, this is a field where you could, you know, you created the TCA, took you a couple minutes. Now you're looking at things strategically, right where it says long-term chart type. Do you see that at the bottom? Shift that to net worth.
So I use net worth on purchases.
Yeah.
I use net worth on purchases because I've used it on refis before. My partner Gavin uses it on refis before. I found it's an awesome tool for purchases. On the refinances, it's more about savings, but yeah, so net worth is a pretty cool.
Well, I wanted to one, show off that feature to people. And it's not like, oh, for purchases, use this one, for refis, use this one. It's like, what's the situation? And I want everybody to start thinking like, when you're a mortgage coach, you go from playing checkers, rate, payment, cash to close, kind of like I'm selling transactions, to I'm a mortgage strategist. And there's more moves to make. And I also want you to think there's national, what's happening on a national level with rates and real estate. Then there's local. How does that translate to local? And then there's personal. How does that translate based on my assumptions of what values are going to do, my assumption on what rates are going to do, my personal assumptions on when do I want to be debt free, or when do I want to build another house or buy a new house. And that's what Mortgage Coach helps you do. It helps you kind of go from checkers to now we're looking at more things. So one more thing I want people to notice in the upper right-hand corner, and it sounds like you use that record feature a lot, record a video.
Yeah.
So don't click on it. I do want to call out the field next to it. It's called Mortgage Coach Live. And when you do the purchase in a minute, I want you to go to the purchase and go through that. If you could click on the video recorder real quick. I want to show one more thing for folks. Go ahead and click on it. You'll notice he's going to get 3 options. The option to just click a button to where it pulls up his mobile phone and he can record from his mobile phone, or the middle one where he can record from his browser on his laptop. Or if you don't like how you look or you don't like your background, you could do an audio. So just want to call out those 2 features. It sounds like you use the middle one the most, the web browser.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you like that feature?
I haven't tried the mobile app. I use the web browser because for me, I can look at the cost analysis while I'm recording the video and kind of just go through it with them in a systematic way.
No worries. Well, let's do a purchase real quick, and then let's do some closing questions. Anybody that's watching this live in our Facebook group, if you have questions, put them down below in comments. All right. So we're going to be looking at a purchase, and just to put context for everyone, you would either email this or text this to a client. What do you usually do? Do you usually email it or text the link?
That's actually a great question. So I'll show you guys really quick. So sorry, bear with me. Don't look at all my email filters here. So here's an example of how I email. This one's a little bit more long-winded, but because he had some escrow stuff with his, but normally I just send out the link and I tell him it's best viewed. For me, you'll probably give me why I shouldn't do this, but I tell him it's best viewed in Safari or Chrome. So I just send a quick email. It's a quick email because I feel like the video and the TCA will explain everything else that they need to know.
Yeah,
I think that, and no one reads emails anymore anyways. So
yeah, a couple tips on that. So pull it up. First of all, there's no right answer. If the family is clicking on this 90% of the time, you're doing it right. If they're not, it's not Mortgage Coach. It's not that it doesn't work. It's you're not doing it right. You're not what you say and how you frame it and then how you email it. And I've interviewed enough top producers that all of them have 90% of their families click on the link. You could put in their name, like, hey, here's the Savage family total cost analysis. A custom name where you put in their name and then you put the link over it. It's called like a custom link or a hyperlink. That's kind of cool. But dude, what you're doing is working. So cool. So walk us through it now.
The TCA?
Yeah. What are we looking at?
Actually, the one that I just sent you the refi, he's calling me back right now. So this one is a purchase, first time home buyer. She's really trying to target a specific payment, but she also, like most home buyers, before you get the phone call, they've been on Zillow, they've been on Redfin, they've already looked at houses in areas that are appealing to them, in price ranges and bedroom counts that are appealing to them. So they already have an idea of what they want. They don't necessarily know if what they want is aligned with what their goals are or what their qualifying ability is. So when I'm talking to a purchase client, I really want to find out what their goals are. So generally speaking, I ask like 3 questions. I go, so the houses that you've been looking at, what are the price ranges that you're seeing for the homes that you like? Not what is the price you want, what are the homes you like? If I'm looking on Zillow, I love $1 million houses, doesn't mean I can afford one. So I start with that. I also ask them, okay, have you given much thought to down payment? First time home buyers, they either have a misconception that they need 20% down, or they have a misconception that they don't need anything down and that there's some magical down payment assistance unicorn that will just pay for it for them, which in some cases there are, but generally speaking, and especially right now in this world that we're in, the down payment assistance options have all but ceased. And then lastly, I ask them, okay, well, what's a monthly payment that you're comfortable with? And then where would the stretch be on the limit of that payment? So I ask them those kind of 3 questions to find out, how many of those boxes I can check. In a perfect scenario, I check all 3 and they're perfectly aligned and they're very logical and they know exactly, they've done research, but we know as loan officers, that's generally not the case. So so it's our job to educate them into, if she wanted a $1,600 a month payment, and this is a situation where there's a HOA involved, she wanted a $1,600 a month payment, but she really liked the houses that were between 300 and 325. She had at least 30%, or she had at least $30,000 total out of pocket that she could bring in. But she also had a couple like small debts. So like in this one, I'm talking to her about how, all things considered, if she found something at 275 that, that would check all the boxes for her, but she really liked 300. And so I said, with 300, it's only $100 more from kind of where your goal is, but it leaves you $5,000. She had a $3,000 city card. I said, just pay off the city card. That saves you $200 a month. And you've just actually decreased your monthly expenses by $100. So just talking strategy.
Yeah, great leadership. If you could scroll to the top real quick, want to just call out to everybody that, it's got his photo, it's got his logo. Guys, this is the ultimate virtual mortgage experience, and it's not just a sales advantage, it is a time saver. So I'm gonna share a couple testimonials from other top producers, and then Brent, we're gonna close out with you kind of netting out your mortgage coach, any advice you have. You're a branch manager. I'm sure you'd love to see more of your loan officers using Mortgage Coach. So here's some feedback from some top producers, why they use Mortgage Coach, what they think of Mortgage Coach.
Mortgage Coach for me is the most important piece of software that we use, and we've got a pretty good technology stack. But if I had just one piece, it would have to be Mortgage Coach.
It is without doubt a piece of technology that you want to invest in. And the reason is it gives not only your loan officers the platform to differentiate themselves from all of the other fee worksheet loan officers in the country, but it also allows for engagement.
And when real estate professionals got to see how professional and transparent and how educational my loan worksheets, my loan presentations were, it completely escalated that learning curve and how I moved up in the mortgage industry.
I never would be where I am today without access to the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. It just gave me access to loan officers nationwide, not in my own little bubble of where I live in, to be able to adopt the same strategies that they're using. It's invaluable.
The fact that all of Mortgage Coach's content is in YouTube, I can go really deep. And that allows me to have my loan officers go there, and it's easy for them to find without having to search all over some of the other mediums.
The TCA, the total cost analysis, allows you to create an experience for a client that puts you on par with the Ubers and the Delta apps and the rest of the way that people want to actually digest content.
I can directly track the rate of return on my investment using Mortgage Coach is I closed 33% more. If you were a company, if you were an owner, and you could increase your conversion by 30% more than you are right now, what's that worth?
So guys, if you are not currently using Mortgage Coach, whether you're, you have it, but you're just not giving it to every family, hopefully this call is giving you some ideas, some feedback. Brent, you just heard that feedback. Of all the things you heard, what kind of most relates to you and how you use Mortgage Coach? What's the one most important thing for you?
I would say that it's just doing it, jumping on, Mortgage Coach initially out of the box can be very intimidating in knowing how to navigate it as far as a setup. But if you spend a little bit of time, for me, if you spend the time with the templates and more specifically your closing cost templates and how your settings are, we can blow through a cost analysis with recording the video in less than 10 minutes. And that's with setting up four different scenarios or whatnot. So I would say templates are your friend, whether it's fee templates or otherwise. For me, I have two simple, I have a refi template and I have a purchase template. And, I don't have a bunch of loan program templates, but I really live and breathe on the fee templates. And that helps. And then, for me, you perfect one loan and then you just clone it, clone it and make the small changes. And then, teach your people how to use it. Once initially it's, it is intimidating, but once you learn how to use it, I think that it's a invaluable tool that, separates myself from somebody else. I think there's a time and a place for sending somebody a loan estimate or sending somebody a single page cost analysis, once they maybe pick a direction. But I think that as setting up an initial, kind of trying to earn that business, I think that this is a great tool to separate yourself from the guy next door.
And so for anyone who, what's the fastest path to doing it? We do have training every day. I do recommend in today's market, let's say you started, you're like, let's go through some of those refi fence sitters and re-engage them and show them the value of that monthly savings over time, show them the value of that monthly savings prepaid and how much faster they can pay off their mortgage. Go to your pre-qual database. So all those pre-quals that are TBD, they don't have a home in escrow, and you create a TCA to re-engage them and just give them a service, hey, anything updated. That's like 2 easy ways to just get started. So anyways, I'm gonna put a link down below to a training video called The Fastest Way to Create a Total Cost Analysis. And in that 20-minute video, we talk about setting up templates. I didn't check, are you using strategy templates? Have you started using strategy templates yet?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. It looks like, I want you to watch this, you and your team watch this 20-minute video, but you could literally take a strategy that took you 10 minutes, could have been an MI analysis, and now you can create it in 30 seconds. So it's like program with strategy. So you could have a refi TCA. So anyways, I'll put a link down below, guys. Just a speed tip. How can you go faster? Anything you want to say or any closing thoughts you have for anybody tuning into us?
I think that's about it. I mean, I would say if you're using this for refinances, all too often people are, send me your mortgage statement, send me your mortgage statement, send me your mortgage statement. And I've found with Mortgage Coach, if you've got that person on the phone and they're engaged and you're waiting for them to send you something before you're sending them something, you're missing opportunity. So get with your title person, because for us, getting with your title person and having some sort of trio ability, whether it's Chicago or Fidelity or First American, you can go online and in most cases you can find out, some of the important dates to put into Mortgage Coach that will automate and auto configure the stuff that you would normally pull off a mortgage statement. And so that's been helpful for us in that I don't need to see your mortgage statement. I know, you've told me that you have a 4% rate and you've told me what your payment is, and I've been able to get all the information myself. So it's kind of a little bit of a clairvoyant, approach to it where they're like, oh, wow, how do you know all this stuff? And so I think that that's kind of a sneaky little tool that, that doesn't make me have to wait, because sometimes they forget to send you that stuff. So just take advantage of the opportunity when it's in front of you.
I love it. I love this interview. I'm especially pumped knowing that you don't do a lot of interviews, that I was able to get you, although I'm sure Rosemary and her connecting with me helped you get on stage here. And thanks for all you do to help grow Mortgage Coach at Homebridge, and everybody that you lead. I appreciate that. Everybody watching this, if you got value from this, give us a like. Hopefully this won't be the last interview I do with Brent, but maybe it will. But if you have questions, we'll see if we can get him back for more questions.
I'm waiting for Josh Pitts and Ken Perry to do some live Fortnite interviews. Those are the ones that.
Is that what we need to do? Is that we got to get those two guys?
Yeah, let's get some video games going. Something to take our mind off of mortgage for once. So
fair enough. I'll pass that along to those guys. And that's actually not a bad idea. I'm sure you're not the only mortgage guy that could use a little disconnect. So
there you go. I appreciate it.
Take care, my friend. I really appreciate you.
Bye.